Subscriptions. Obviously, uh, people who use the 360 are used to subscription fees for using their service, and of course, Sony has that option with the PlayStation 4. Shuhei Yoshida, the president of Sony's Worldwide Studios, he's quoted as saying, "We could have gold, silver, or platinum levels of membership, something like that. We can do subscription services when we have more content, especially now that we have the Gaikai technology available. With one subscription, you have access to thousands of games. That's our dream." Now, I'm traditionally kind of against subscriptions for just basic online. This is sort of I had a problem with that with the Xbox Gold memberships, but this makes sense to me. This Gaikai is a very robust service. It takes a lot of infrastructure, a lot of technology that like we discussed in the last podcast, and having that instant access to a lot of these games and a lot of the really actually very convenient features that it would enable is something worth paying for and not necessarily essential either. We're not talking like a basic functionality here. This is icing on the cake for a lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, I agree that I see that adding a service is totally acceptable in this case. Like, I don't think that we should have to pay just to simply get online and be able to access another part that's intended for a video game. But this brings on a whole other pressure where Sony has to deliver on Gaikai. And the only reason I say that is because Sony has a large history of not delivering on things they have promised. And the whole Gaikai service, like, it's one thing if you say, okay, well, we have backwards compatibility out the door, which probably won't happen across the board, but a lot of those features that they discussed last week have to be delivered if you're going to be charging a premium of like $15, $10 a month. And that puts a lot of pressure on them. I mean, having this proprietary service is great for them, but if they're going to charge a monthly fee, then they're coming. It's a lot bigger pressure to be actually deliver on what they said they were going to do last week.
Yeah, that's very true. Obviously, if they're looking to limit the service to subscribers, and we're not talking just an out of the box feature that everyone gets to experience, and this limits its spread, the install base of people that have the Gaikai technology, and hopefully they can sweeten the pot for subscribers enough to get as many people on board as possible, and certainly that will depend also on the core sales of the system as well. It needs to be popular right out of the gate and sell well. My fear is that the PlayStation 4 may have a slow start in terms of sales, and that can limit the appeal because a lot of the Gaikai features depend on other people, your friends,
Right.
having the service.
Yeah, that's the one thing. I really hope that there isn't like this fractured, like triple tier service model where you have the people who, okay, just have the base, you just want to play online, and there's other people have this other set of features they have access to, and then this third tier is like the premium tier, and you have all these different fractured like network of people who can't like talk to each other unless they're at the top tier. I hope they just either do a you have this or you have everything kind of like model.
What I think is going to happen, I'm pretty certain that at least voice chat's going to be included in the box, just simply because they're including a mic with the system.
Yeah, that's something that's expected, I think, at this point.
Not that it's unheard of, because Microsoft included a mic with their system too, but you still had to pay up to use it. But I think the Vita is a good example of what may be kind of the baseline features for the PlayStation 4. I mean, you have the cross-party chat, and some basic messaging and community features like that. But Gaikai would be a lot more robust than just basic features, and certainly very forward-looking and very futuristic type of features that are just not considered standard yet. So, the payment would be justified, I think, for those features as long as they don't try to tie it with things that are standard.
Right. No, I mean, for as much money as they've spent on Gaikai, it's expected that you're going to have to pay a premium to access all those features. But really, the only thing I'm personally stressing is that they have to deliver on those features. It can't be like a piecemeal thing that happens throughout the span of 2 or 3 years. There has to be a good reason from the get-go, from launch day, a reason to buy into that premium service that is backed by the Gaikai proprietary technology. Or I think they've failed in that certain respect.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Sony conference, if it was nothing else, it was a boatload of promises, and gamers are kind of jaded in some respects towards Sony, as you said. They've fallen through on promises in the past, and it's something to ruffle feathers to make announcements like this and talk in broad terms, like this is gonna we are looking over the course of the life of the PlayStation 4 to have full backwards compatibility enabled through Gaikai and have full remote play capabilities on the Vita, and etc. But these are far-reaching goals according to their language, and
Right.
it's just a matter of not just being all talk here. I mean, Microsoft's not going to be really shaking in their boots unless they actually deliver.
I think that's an important thing to realize now that the conference is over and kind of the hype's died down, is that a lot of what we saw last week were a lot of promises. There were few clear indications of intent, or actually proof of intent, I guess. I mean, you had Killzone, you had Knack, but aside from that, most of the stuff was just promises of potential or ideas. I mean, you have all the tech demos that
Good
were
ideas.
shown. I mean, great, yeah, no, granted, great ideas, but I mean, you had a lot of tech demos. You had the Gaikai service, and I mean, and that took up a bulk of what the show was, and a lot of that stuff was just theory for the most part. I mean, a lot of tech demos had no proof of actual like gameplay, and
Yeah,
then
the
you have
only
the
feature they demonstrated was the Vita remote play, which I'm glad they were able to show that functioning. That's promising.
Oh yeah, no, I like what we were talking about. We didn't talk about it on the show last week, but me and you have talked about it privately. Is about how they're doing a good job of integrating other peripherals that they've taken on board over the years, and they're not giving up on them as much as many other companies might have just like thrown their peripherals to the
Especially
side.
Move.
Like the move exactly, and the PS Vita needed this. This is important for the Vita to
Hmm.
be part of the next generation cycle and not be just totally forgotten, because they're in dire straits right now, whether you like to think it or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, right now, this week they have the PlayStation meeting with distributors going on behind the scenes. And we're hoping to get some leaks as far as game announcements, especially for the Vita. Uh, and it needs some games on the system, exclusives and robust content like Uncharted and Assassin's Creed 3 and so on. This is a really cool feature. Like, the remote play is awesome, and I know I'm going to use it probably. Uh, but the reality is that PlayStation 4 owners are not. They're probably going to have a Vita, but this is going to be just an extra for them. This is not going to sell them on the Vita or the PlayStation 4. It's just kind of cool that they work together, but it's a bonus.
Yeah, see, I'm in the situation where I would like to buy a Vita, and if they just gave me a game right now that I really wanted to play, the idea of being able to remotely play PS4 games on it would pretty much do the sell for me. I just need a game right now that I would want to play on the Vita.
Yeah, this is what a lot of these, like especially like the bundles and PlayStation Plus and things of that nature are. Is that by themselves they're not tremendous killer features, but just putting them all together, Sony's just trying to add more and add more to just sort of make this gift basket of features and games and things that all together make a convincing selling pitch to new buyers. When taken individually, aren't that exciting, but maybe together a little more impressive.
Right. I mean, back to kind of the point. I do think they're on the right path. I think that they're they're paving their own road into the future. They're not going down the services route like Microsoft does. So like, app friendly about like Netflix. Not that they won't have those things, but they're not making it be the dominating force. And they do have games, like I've said before, this PlayStation, I believe, is the gamer system. I just hope that they deliver on all the stuff that they kind of promised last week.
Yeah, there's some major questions that are going to need to be answered, and as I feel like as time goes on, as we get further away from the conference and we continue to reel and from it and analyze what happened, which is more and more questions come up, and we come to terms more and more with what we don't know.
Right. Yeah, I agree. All right, Brian, do you want to add anything before we move on?
Uh, just on the point of like now that we're kind of over the conference happening and stuff, and like all the hypes like kind of leveled out. Um, I do want to say that I still think Sony was definitely benefited from showing off first and stuff, and I think now it's just kind of we're in limbo for a little bit um, until E3. Uh, they seem pretty open about what information they're putting, about what information is going out the door about PS4, and they want people to know about it, and um, yeah, I mean, we'll know when Durango gets announced with its official name, and kind of see the state of each company and where Sony stands against them, and then you'll see actually see side by side comparisons of the games that are going to be on each system, and we'll be able to see down the road. So yeah.
Yeah, I think we'll probably get our next glimpse of everything around GDC time, and that'll
Yeah,
be exciting.
probably GDC or maybe even before that. There's rumors that when is GDC? Is that in March or April?
I believe I want to say it's in March, so towards the end of March.
Okay, so rumors are right now that the Durango may get a reveal in April. I have a feeling that Microsoft's probably going to show more services than games. I hope not. But if they do show a lot of services, and they have an opportunity to show more proof than Sony did, and that could definitely work in their favor.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that I think works against PlayStation or Sony rather is that they did set a precedent for making gamers, the hardcore crowd, the priority, and maybe Microsoft is going to reposition their branding or the way they introduce the system to kind of appeal to that same nature, because at the end of the day the casual audience doesn't sell these things to the overall market. The hardcore people are like the grassroots people that get everyone else interested into it, and I think
Especially early
PlayStation
on.
understood that. Yeah, especially early on. So I think Microsoft's, as much as we talk about service being the focus, I do think they're probably going to take a little bit of a idea, or rather from a Sony, and kind of just do the same thing and make games the forefront of what they're trying to present on their coming out, whatever the hell you want to call it.
I would like to see that, but I kind of feel like Microsoft's a very idealistic company, and they kind of stick to their message more than maybe they should, and sometimes.
You
So
think
we'll
we're going to
see.
see like a 20-minute like Connect presentation?
Oh God, I dread it, but honestly, I would not be surprised because we know it's going to be a big deal with their Durango.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right. Well, with that, let's move on. Our topic of the week, we're going to be talking about. There's been a lot of talk about secondhand games and everything, but what we were more talking about this week is we're going to be talking about the desire to go all digital this console cycle. Well, it's not going to be the only option. It might be very appealing to some people, and we're just kind of discuss where we kind of fall in line with that. Brian, let's have you start off actually with this.
Oh, so I'm definitely the guy that is like going all digital
That's
when
why
it
we ask you, sir.
yeah. So um yeah, I mean, you hear time and time again like, oh, it's inevitable, it's gonna be here sometime. one of those people that thinks it's gonna be a little bit longer until we go fully. I think right now you're still gonna have that fusion of downloadable and physical. I wouldn't be surprised if Sony later down the road like did kind of a PSP Go for the home console. Hopefully